Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jeff from Central Texas Tennis, and I actually got to do another block today because it is ridiculously windy outside. If you're in the Killeen, Harker Heights, Temple area, today was probably wow. It was just crazy. I actually did a clinic today into it, and went really, really well. It was just stressful for me because the wind was like blowing in my face, and I felt like I was back at home in Lubbock, Texas. Where I feel like today is every day over in Lubbock. So, um, I uh, I wanted to take a minute to talk about why parents put their kids in tennis programs and what the ultimate goal is. And just really kind of give a better understanding of really what I went through in my career, my junior career, high school, and how I got to college, played in college. And obviously, you're watching this video. I've built a career now in a business over here in Central Texas, instructing and teaching tennis. Um, I get this question a lot, and it's weird because I had a parent call me today and was questioning about tournaments and trying to understand how often to put kids into programs. Um, Typically, I should start with this. The end goal for all parents or for all kids is, I think the perspective is, you want your kids to play collegiate tennis. I mean, that would be, a realistic goal to have if you start your kids off in tennis at a really early age. I mean, it's enough time for them. And I say early, between the ages of 5 and 8. I think that's a great window to start kids, especially if you are trying to groom them to get to a collegiate level. I know this is going to sound crazy. Those of you who know me personally, you know that I've been playing since 4.5, 5 years old, and I've been playing all my life, doing camps and doing lessons, and um, I've gone to nukes. I mean, you name it, I've probably done it before. And I will say this is that I did try different sports, but I stuck with tennis mostly through my junior career. I mean, I did baseball as a kid. I did soccer, but I mean, like maybe for a season. I didn't carry it out and try to go and build on those sports. Although I think they did help me a little bit. But I mean, honestly, it's if you want your kids to succeed, and try to play on a collegiate level, whether it's like I did, I played at a JUCO college, Temple College. I played at Mary Hardin Baylor in Belton. Um, you know, you got to have a level of commitment uh, to the sport. Period. Tennis is a completely different sport than every other sport. That of in just in terms of competition, like scholarship money, and how many other kids are trying to do the same thing you are doing. It's just such a different sport. Not to say that all the other sports are the same, but when you really take the sport tennis and really break it down, um, it's got a lot of weird and unique things about it that parents just don't quite understand yet, and that the sport just has a lot of weird things about it. And I'm going to give you some examples in a second, just things that I went through in college. First off, I played a lot as a kid. I played in high school. I played varsity, and I will say this: I grew up in Lubbock, Texas, and I was not good enough to go play at Texas Tech. I would have loved to go and play for a Division I school, but there was just no way. Back then, Tim Siegel was the head coach there, and they had some just amazing tennis players over there, and that was a big thing. And I remember sitting with one of their assistants and talking to one of their players and even my pros. There's just no way. I mean, it would have taken me probably 3, maybe 4 years just to be able to start on a team like that. And a lot of those kids back then, I mean, they're from Europe, and you still see that now. Not as much as you used to back when I was growing up. This is back in 2003, 2004, after I graduated high school. But you don't see as much of that nowadays as you do or as you did back then. So my pro, I was doing lessons in high school. I would go to a kind of like an after school clinic slash training. I was extremely fortunate to go and play indoors, and there was a pro over there. His name's Mel McRee. I know that he was the guy was very patient with me, and he was really just really fun to be around. And I will say, Mel, I know you're gonna watch this. I'll definitely tag in this video, and I will say a big thing for me that I learned is, transitioning from high school to college is, you got to be extremely consistent. And I'm kind of jumping on two different ends here, but that's part of what you have to do, and that's something that Mel taught me. It's just I was sitting there hitting with Mel, and I don't really remember too much, being technical with Mel, but I mean I do a lot of hitting with him, waking up early in the mornings and going to hit indoors, and he helped me a lot. So the reason why I bring up Mel is Mel actually played at Temple College and played for Coach King, who used to be the head coach over there, which I know the program's no longer there. But um, Mel actually made a phone call for me, and I remember I drove down and met Coach King, and he gave me a tryout, and he gave me the opportunity to play for the team. Um, and looking back at this now, and again to try to answer more of the parents' question is, how many days do you put kids into a program? The question is how serious are you as a parent, and be ready to make sacrifices. I see this a lot with parents trying to do too many things. Parents will try to say, okay, well, we're going to do soccer this season, and we're going to do this, maybe baseball, and then we're going to do tennis. That's great, and I think that those are wonderful decisions. And obviously, I'm not trying to become the parent here, but as a pro, I get a lot of parents telling me that, yeah, I would love my kids to go and play college tennis, and this is what it's going to take. It's going to take training just about every single day. It's going to take, group lesson. It's going to take private lessons. It's going to take a lot. I mean, and yes, I mean, financially, you're looking to spend a lot of money. But when you really think about it, at the end of the day, you're going to be spending the money, whether you're doing soccer or baseball. You're still going to be traveling. You're still going to be going through, virtually everything that a tennis player or a tennis parents would go through. You're going to be traveling to a lot of tournaments, and it does get, for me as a kid, I got a little burned out because I was, trying to travel everywhere, and being from West Texas over in Lubbock, I mean, the drives were pretty far for me, and going from Lubbock to Dallas and then to Austin, San Antonio to play, back then ZAT tournaments, champs, super champ tournaments, opens, just everywhere I could, just to try to build and get experience. But this is a really good question for parents to ask, because this really will set the tone and give parents the idea of how long it actually does take, or excuse me, what it needs to be done, what needs to be done as the kids develop, and how much training they actually need. I will say this, and I'm going to be as real as I can. And a lot of parents think that they're going to pour a lot of money into this program or to their kids and tennis lessons, and they're going to expect their kids to go play at Baylor or A&M, a big, known Division I school. And the chances of that happening are, almost slim to none. And the reason why I say that is because I've seen, working in the tennis industry, I've seen a lot of kids that have been doing tennis lessons for all those years and been doing 4 or 5 day programs plus private lessons, doing tournaments, but they don't make it to a big school like that. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more realistic. And I'm not saying it's not possible, because I have seen kids that have gone to go and play at a really good Division I school. I will say also this: since I've been here in Central Texas, I haven't seen anybody go and play for Baylor, a big D1, A&M, UT. Not that I know of, and maybe one of you out there, maybe you can correct me, but since the 15 years that I've been here, no one's done that. And we've had some kids, and I've seen some kids, pros that I've worked with, they've sent kids to smaller Division I schools, Division II schools. People like me that came from Lubbock. I mean, I went and played for a JUCO college, and or JUCO in Temple, and then I went to go and play at a Division III school. So it takes a lot. It takes so much. But again, this is not to say that the kids will never experience collegiate tennis, because they can. There's, I mean, hundreds of thousands, hundreds if not thousands of colleges that offer tennis programs. And because they're, either JUCO, Division I, they may not be a big Division I school, but They may be a smaller Division 1 school, or a pretty decent sized Division 2, or even a Division 3 school. They can still have the opportunity to go and play collegiate tennis and still be able to compete on that level. And if that's a realistic goal to have, just to be able to compete on a collegiate level. I think a lot of parents, when they think collegiate, they think Texas Tech and Baylor, A&M, and UT, and all these huge schools, and which is an awesome goal to have. But when you get a chance, go and take a look at the rosters that these schools have with their players, and it will blow your mind. I mean, even the kids that come, and again, this isn't just in the U.S. I mean, kids aren't just competing in the U.S. to go and play collegiate tennis at those big schools. It's international. It's worldwide. You got kids that coming all over the world to try and play for big schools like that, and this is one of the reasons why you see a lot of foreigners play at these schools. And those of you, obviously, and I've got buddies out there that were hopefully watching this video, my freshman year, my freshman and my sophomore year of collegiate tennis, Coach King, I mean, he recruited, Danny, he was from Venezuela. I mean, gosh, I mean, I had people from Brazil, France, gosh, I'm sure I'm missing, I mean, Aiden from Australia. I mean, these guys are good players. These weren't players that just they just picked up. I mean, these were extremely good players, and they did really really well. And I'm sure I'm missing a few, but I know after I graduated, he recruited somebody from Jamaica, and that kid just wrecked everybody. And he was just an amazing tennis player. I actually think he played Davis Cup for Jamaica. So, um, and actually, when I was there, my assistant coach, Ricardo Omania, which the Omania family is just, all of them are just amazing at tennis, and that name is known in Texas. So Ricardo was actually the men's coach when I was there, and he played Davis Cup, I believe, for Venezuela. And when you look at the rosters and you look at just the overall muscle of collegiate tennis, it's tough. It's very very tough. So, again, going back to answer the question, is it possible? Is the training worth it? Absolutely. If your goal is to play collegiate tennis, there's so much opportunity out there, and to have pros like for me, like I had Mel help me out and try to get to a college. That's what we do. We can do that. We can help you. We can help you try to get to different colleges, and and again, I think that's something that needs to be known. Collegiate tennis doesn't need to be specific for the big schools. Collegiate tennis needs to be on a broad level if you are thinking about, putting your kids in to play collegiate. It's everywhere. There's so many schools. So, parents, if you get a chance and you got maybe a high school student, a high school kid into a junior program, and I mean, I want you to do some research. Do some research. Go look at the rosters at some of these Division 1 schools, and I'm going to say this: this is how stout this is, and this is how much of a muscle collegiate tennis has. And I often brag about this girl because she's just an amazing player to watch. I went and watched a girl named Astra Sharma. She played, and I believe she graduated, but she played for Vanderbilt University. And a couple of years ago, she won the national championship for Vanderbilt women's tennis team over in Waco at Baylor, which is crazy because Astra, apparently, I think she's playing the first round of the Australian Open. So in the Australian Open, like that's going to happen in a few days. So, keep your eye out for her. But she's an extremely good player. But that's the kind of level you're looking at. I mean, going from Vanderbilt University, which is just probably top 5 best schools for women's tennis. Even at that time they were number 1. That UCLA is just they did so well, and then going from there to go pro. I mean, holy cow, that's just amazing. And not only go pro, but play the Australian Open. So, keep that in mind, parents, that when you think about that, again, look at the rosters and just kind of see and ask me questions. I mean, a lot of those things are going to say like ITF, 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 which in the U.S. you don't really hear too much about ITF. It's all USTA here. So ITF is like a bigger organization. It's a federation actually. So USTA is small. ITF is like everywhere. It's international. So anyway, I just wanted to wrap up that quick video blog, and it's just again talking to some parents and just a shout out to Mel, and I mean it's just been a great journey, and I can go on and on about collegiate tennis, which I will probably make more videos about it, and just the level of competition that I saw. Um, so yeah, so parents do some research, look for other schools, and call coaches and ask them. I mean, coaches at smaller schools are always trying to recruit, always. So a lot of the time, and I wasn't playing USTA at the time, but FYI, when I was in high school, that again, Mel just my tennis pro at the time, he just made a phone call and he made it happen. I didn't even know Temple College had a tennis team. I had no idea that Temple College even existed. I knew Temple was there because I have family here, but I didn't know a college was here. But and then we came over and boom, here I am. So 15 years later. Um, so I hope this video helps out. I know it's lengthy, but keep those questions coming, and I'd love to discuss more on collegiate tennis and just everything that I went through. So you guys have a great night. Super 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 windy outside, so thank God I'm inside. You guys have a good night.